Okay, everybody, let's try this again. Okay, this is Erin Focke. I am the Director of Regional Services in the Cincinnati area with Girl Scouts of Western Ohio. And if you were on just a second ago, you probably saw that we're having some technical issues. So we're going to try this again. I was hoping to use my computer, but I have to use my phone. So I see, oh good, we've got people jumping back on. That's awesome. All right, great. It looks like we got about 13 people on right now. So I'm gonna apologize in advance for the wobbliness. I was hoping to use my computer and not my cell phone, but Chrome is not liking my computer right now. So we're gonna try it this way. So, oh great, look at this. We got 25 people. Hi Casey, hi Carol. All right, we got people from everywhere. Okay, so we're getting started. I'm so sorry we're getting there a little late. So I do wanna kinda ask you in the chat box, if you could put in your comment section, let me know your name, where you're from, what's your favorite cookie recipe? We're gonna make the Girl Scout cookie recipe, which is a sugar cookie recipe. So tell me what your favorites are. Let me see what's coming on the chat. I don't see any on there yet, but I see people joining, which is great. We're up to almost 40 people, which is awesome. Let's see. Anybody want to share their favorite cookie recipe and maybe where you're joining us from? What part of the country or even the world? I don't see any on there. We got, oh, there we go. All right, see a few comments popping in here. All right, oh, okay. I think it's Reese from Harper, Northeast Iowa likes chocolate chip. We got Belinda likes from San Diego. She likes Nutella chocolate chip. Oh, that sounds cool. All right, we got some more. Oh, somebody's joining us from Albany, New York. And let's see, Arizona. Oatmeal, wonderful. Those are all delicious choices. Peanut butter, chocolate chip cookies. Thanks, Amy, that sounds delicious. We got snickerdoodles. Wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna get started here. Since we got a little bit of a late start, I don't wanna keep you all too long, but check out the, in our comment box, you should see the recipe we're gonna use today. And so I've got all of the, let me change my camera here. I've got all of our ingredients that we're going to need. So we're gonna need a cup of butter. So you can see, if you didn't know, one stick is a half a cup. So you're gonna need 2 sticks of butter, a cup of sugar, which I have over here. We're gonna need 2 tablespoons of milk, 2 eggs. We're gonna need a teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of flour, and then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And then I also have over here, I have some, at the end, we're going to, when we roll out our cookies, I've got a little flour held aside so we can dust our surface and our rolling pin. And then I've got a little sugar so we can if you wanna top the tops of the cookies with a little sugar, you can. The other materials that I have, I pre-measured a bunch of things, so it would be easier to show it to you, but obviously you're gonna want measuring cups, like a cup scoop kind of thing, and then I've got like my teaspoon here, and we're gonna need a rolling pin. If you have a cookie cutter, I thought this was adorable. My mom had a trefoil shaped cookie cutter, and so I borrowed it from her. It's fairly old, it's an old tin cookie cutter, which I thought was appropriate since we're gonna make Girl Scout cookies. And then I love my trusty spatula, rubber spatula. And then you're probably I would recommend a stand mixer versus a handheld, because once that batter starts coming together, the dough starts to get a little, gets a little heavy. So, all right, let's see. So in the comment log, you should see what we need. I'm gonna turn the camera back around here. Oops, here we go. All right, so what we're gonna do first is, I do wanna ask, or share a little, sorry, I'm moving my notes around here. Share a little information about Girl Scout cookies. So we're making the 1922 recipe. And as you know, Girl Scouts was founded back in 1912. In 1917 is when they first started making Girl Scout cookies. And in the 20s and the 30s, Girl Scouts would bake their own sugar cookies, so that's what we're gonna do today. And just like a few years later, that's when, like in 1936, is when Girl Scouts licensed the first commercial baker to start baking Girl Scout cookies. So let's get our cookies going, and then I'll share some more stuff with you in a minute. Okay, so this is gonna be a little tricky, so hang on here. Let's see if I can set the phone up here. so you can see what's happening. Okay, turn you this way a little bit. Okay, so hopefully you can see what's going on. So first we're going to, our recipe says to, we're gonna cream the butter and the sugar, which means we're gonna put the butter in, we're gonna add the sugar, and we're gonna cream it. And my recommendation, because I tried this already, I wanted to make sure this worked for us. What you're gonna want to do is only do it for about a minute, okay? You don't wanna over cream it. It might get a little too much, so just creaming it for about a minute, okay? All right, here we go. So we're gonna turn this on, add my sugar, mix it. All right. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So let me show you what it kind of looks like. You're gonna kind of add it all together, and there you go. It's gonna look a little grainy because the sugar is still crystal, and then you added in the butter. I'm gonna mix it up. All right, so now I like to scrape off my, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of this, the beater. That's what it's called. I like to scrape off the beater, mix it around a little bit just to make sure I got everything nice and together. And then the recipe then encourages you to add in the eggs. So we're gonna add in our eggs, and it says well beaten. I have not found it to be an issue to just add them directly in. So that's what I'm gonna do today, is just add the eggs directly into my mixer. And again, you do have to be careful. You don't wanna mix too much. All right, let's see here. As we're going on here too, so we're, obviously we're talking about Girl Scout cookies. So I would love for you to share in the comment section, what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie? Do you have a favorite? I'm sure you do. Share with me what your favorite Girl Scout cookie is. And let's see what those pop through. Let me see who comes through with that. And as we're doing that, we're gonna add we added the eggs. Now we're going to add the milk, and I'm gonna turn it on low here. 2 tablespoons of milk. We're going to add a teaspoon of the vanilla extract. Put that in there. And then we're going to add flour. And I have 2 cups of flour in here. We're gonna add it slowly. Ooh, I see Samoa's, do-si-dos. Thanks, Amy, Don, Carol. I'm gonna add this in slowly, because if you do it too fast, it'll poof out and be everywhere. Okay, so the cookie dough, when we're done, I'll show you again. When it's done, it's gonna look kind of thick, and I'll show you some. I've got some already made too, so, the magic of television. All right, oh, some people like got lemonades, the gluten-free chocolate chip, do-si-dos. I love all of those. All right, let me get my 2 cups of flour in here. All right, so let me show you what it's looking like now. So this, you can see it's getting thicker. It's getting kind of more dough-like, less batter-like. It's not gonna look like a cake mix. It's gonna be a lot thicker. So the other thing is we need to add our teaspoon, actually 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, and a cool trick here, baking powder helps things rise. So if you try it and your cookies get too big, like they rise too much, next time you make it, you might try using just a little less baking powder. I kind of had that problem, so I didn't completely fill my teaspoon, so I didn't want it to overfill. So I'm gonna mix it up one more time. Actually, let me scrape this. Let's remix. You wanna stop every once in a while and scrape things off the bottom, especially if you're noticing, like my mixer tends to kind of it kind of sticks right in the middle a little bit. So mix it up a little, and it does get messy, so just FYI. So I'm gonna mix it just a little bit here. All right, I think we're good to go. So here's the next trick. This dough right now, it's pretty warm and it's pretty loose, which means it's not gonna roll very nicely. And for this recipe, we wanna roll it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it out and we're gonna chill it. So basically what that means is you're gonna wanna put it in the refrigerator for at least an hour. I would recommend longer. When I was making the recipe earlier last week, or I guess just last week, The problem that I had was that the dough was still a little sticky, and so it wasn't staying on, it was sticking to my, sorry, one second here. It was sticking to the rolling pin and other items. So I would really recommend chilling it for at least maybe 2 hours. So awesome. All right, so I see some more comments about people's favorite cookies. They're Thin Mint. Sounds like there's a recipe, or there's a Thin Mint or a Girl Scout cookie for everyone. So it looks like, Laura, you had a question about what's the recipe. So the recipe is pinned in the comments section, but let me go over it just really quickly one more time. And it's also pinned in our event. So if you go to the event, I believe you can see it there as well. So basically what we did is we just put together a cup of butter. We put together we added a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of milk, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of flour, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, so what I want to show you next is I went ahead, like I said, I made some of this ahead of time because there's no way we could make this entire recipe in one go. So what I did is, here's my batter that my dough that I made earlier. So what we're gonna do, and this is my tips for how to do this. So you want to, I told you earlier that I saved a little bit of flour. When you're rolling cookies, it's always a great practice. You don't want it to stick. So let me show you here. And I'm sorry, we're going back and forth here. So what you're gonna do is I'm gonna sprinkle a little on my surface that I'm going to use. And this is gonna be the hard part. You're not gonna really be able to see this very well because of it being on my phone. But you take your dough, and what I like to do is I like to roll it around a little. This dough I found needs a little bit more flour than maybe some other recipes might need. So you're gonna have to just play with it. You're gonna have to kind of figure out what works for you. And let me put the phone down and I will roll this out a little bit, and then I'll share it back again. Oop. You don't want to see all that. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. The joys of technology. Okay, let's see, here we go. So I'm gonna take my rolling pin, and what also I like to do is put a little a little flour on it. So I like to kind of coat it gently, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it out, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. And this is going pretty good. One other, with this batter, oh my gosh, I keep saying batter. With this dough, it tends to stick. Now I'm working on I think this is a marble or granite surface. When sometimes I pull out, I have like a mat that I roll out onto. So you just use what works for you, figure out what's not gonna make it stick too much. And then you just wanna keep rolling your dough out. And I'll give you a quick shot of that in just a second. And you just wanna kind of make it not super, super thin, because if they're really, really thin, they will cook way too fast. All right, so let me show you what I got going on here. Okay, so here's kind of what I did. Now, it's hard to make it perfectly round or one specific shape. So now what I like to do, and what has helped a little bit for me, is I kind of tap my cookie cutter in some flour as well. And then you're gonna just press it down in there. And you can see there is my trefoil. And what I'm gonna do is transfer my trefoil to my baking sheet. And then I'm gonna just keep doing that with the rest of them. And so let's do a couple more, and then I'm gonna put them in the oven. So what's really neat too is this recipe, obviously, I don't know if you heard me from the beginning, it came, see it's sticking. Let's try one more thing here. So this is baking, just like a lot of things, is trial and error. So kind of what I like to do is take a spatula. Oh, that's okay, Charlene, great comment. She said, I find when rolling cookies with a pie crust, sometimes using a little wax paper works. That's a great idea. Awesome, great tip. So I'm gonna just do a little bit here. So like I said, you're just gonna have to play with it a little bit. There we go, there's a good one. It fell apart. Sorry, you all, this worked much better, and of course it's harder to do it with one hand. So let's try one more time here. Let's get one more, and thankfully I made some already. So let's go with that since we're having so many technical issues. Let's stop there. But you just kind of keep keep playing with it. I did not grease the cookie sheet. Great question. You shouldn't have to grease the cookie sheet. There's so much butter in the cookies that I've never had a problem with them sticking unless you kind of overcook them. So I did want to kind of point out that this recipe, it's from the 1920s. So the directions actually say, which I thought was interesting, is that once you've got them, ready to go, that you bake them in a quick oven. And I wasn't sure what a quick oven was. I had to look that up. So one of the things, oh, thanks, Carol. I did dip my spatula in a little flour to help as well. That's a great tip. So if anyone else is having that problem, definitely feel free to do that as well. So one of the other quick things, okay, so Dawn, if your dough gets real sticky, you want to just add a little bit more flour to it. I'm going to put a little sugar on top because, again, we're making sugar cookies. And what you're going to want to also do, what I found useful and helpful, was put it in the fridge for a while. You definitely want it to be at least an hour, sometimes a little more. But I love people that have done this before. Thank you for the comments in the comment section. That's great. Definitely fridge, and then when you're getting ready to roll it out, you want to use a little extra flour. You want to flour your surface, flour your rolling pin. I found using a metal spatula to roll it out the dough and then flip it over, put a little more flour on it, make sure it doesn't stick. One of the things that I was kind of going back to is the recipe kind of says in a quick oven. So I had to look up what that means. And I found that means basically there are different temperature sections of the oven. And so a quick oven basically refers to cooking it at the temperature of 350 to 375. So I did 375. Today I'm going to put these two in for 350, but either way works. Just keep an eye on them. The really cool thing is they cook really quick. They cook very fast. So you only need about maximum of 10 minutes. So if you're going to cook it a little lower, like at maybe 350, I always put my timer on 2 minutes before, if it says it's going to be 10 minutes, I always put my timer on 8 minutes. And then I check it and just make sure. You want to look for if the edges are just starting to get brown. That should be perfect. So you're going to pull them out. So I'm going to put the phone down and put these in the oven, and then I'm going to pull out the ones that I have, and then we'll talk about some more tips and tricks and some more Girl Scout cookie facts. I've got a few more I wanted to share with you now that we've got our recipe put together. So I hope things are working for you. If you're actively baking at the same time, and if you're not, that's okay too. Listen to the pro tips, and when you're ready to do it, you'll be even more prepared to do your own cookie recipe. So we're gonna put these in the oven. Ooh, can feel that heat. Now, if you are a kid and you maybe are not quite old enough to use the oven by yourself, that's okay. Connect with your parent and have them help you. Now, let me pull out the ones that I did earlier, and I'll show you what they look like. All right, here we go. So here are my finished product. And so I thought it might be fun for us to maybe decorate them a little bit. And while we're decorating, we can talk a little bit. So, where'd I put my green? Oh, here it is. So you can make your own icing, or I thought for today, I would just use these little tubes of icing. So you can decorate however you want to. You can see the little trefoil shape here. And you could outline it if you wanted to. Whoops, that icing got away from me. Usually do a better job with this. You could write Girl Scout like G and an S. Whoop. Sometimes it's easier to make your own icing and use a piping bag, which I find a little bit easier. But I had this on hand, so I thought, why not use it? Okay, so that's one thing you can do. I wanted to go back to some of the fun facts about Girl Scout cookies, is that we talked about in 1936 how Girl Scouts licensed the first commercial bakers. And what was really cool is I think it was kind of interesting. Between then and basically the 1970s, there were about, at one point, we had 29 different baking companies making Girl Scout cookies, which I thought was pretty cool. So currently, because that was a lot, currently we now only have 2. So if you are a Girl Scout, you probably have heard the names of Little Brownie Bakers or ABC Bakers. And so we have 2 bakers now nationwide that help bake our Girl Scout cookies. And it's really kind of cool. Each baker has different names for the Girl Scout cookies too. So if you are, for example, I think Little Brownie, you might hear Samoa's, Do-Si-Do's. If you use ABC, you might hear Caramel Delights. You might hear Shortbread. You'll hear a different name for them, and that's just the baker's way of describing the cookies, which either one works great. So you might, each council, I don't know if you knew this, each council gets to choose the baker independently each year. So each year they decide who they're going to use, which is kind of cool. And then each company does have to make Thin Mints and the Tagalongs, or the peanut butter sandwich cookies. Sorry, Tagalongs aren't the peanut butter sandwich, the peanut butter and chocolate. And then they do have to make the peanut butter sandwiches. They have to make the trefoil. And as you probably know, there are 8 total varieties usually that each company makes. And while the cookies have changed, the varieties may have changed over the years, it wasn't until 1990 when low-fat and sugar-free varieties became available. And I don't know if you knew that all cookies are kosher, which is pretty cool. So I hope you had fun learning a little bit more about cookies, and that you have fun making your own Girl Scout cookies. So I want to kind of wrap up and kind of would love for you to share. Let's see, what's your favorite? We talked about our favorite cookies to make. What is your favorite? We talked about Girl Scout cookies. Let's see, what should we ask? What is your favorite? What is like maybe your favorite dessert? Since cookies are kind of a dessert, what's your favorite dessert to make? And tell me a little bit about that. So I've got, while I'm waiting for that, and let's see if there are any other comments here to ask. So please send me, what's your favorite dessert to make? It doesn't have to be cookies. Let's see, Dawn asks, to refrigerate, can I just put it into a ball shape and put it into a container? Yes, you can. You can totally do that. You can put it however you want. I just put it in like a plastic container and just covered it. You do want to cover it, and then you want to put it in the refrigerator. All right, let's see. Awesome. Oh, Sandy, that's great. Yes, I do too. Love that they're all kosher. Oh, Cassandra says cake is her favorite thing to make. Amy loves to make peanut butter pie. Lillian says cakes. I'm with you all. My favorite thing to make is cakes. I like to bake cakes and decorate them. Buttercream icing has got to be my favorite. I have to make some good homemade buttercream icing. Let's see. Caroline said banana split. Sandy, oops, it went past. I can't see. Oh, there. Sandy said butterscotch pie. That sounds delicious. Let's see. All right, well, I hope you had fun with me today and you enjoyed it. Sorry for our technical issues. I would love to encourage you to tune back in at 2 o'clock. We're going to do another Girl Scout tradition. We're going to talk about Faith Awards and how Faith Awards and Girl Scouts are connected, which I hope you have seen that before. If you're not, come and join us. It's for all ages, and appreciate you joining us this morning. All right, have a great day and happy baking. Enjoy those cookies. And we'll talk to you later. If you want to keep putting comments in there, we'll get back. If there's any other questions that we didn't answer, we will make sure to go back and answer. So have a great rest of your Monday. Bye, everyone.